History provides countless examples. Cities that once depended on manufacturing evolved into technology hubs. Ports became financial centres. Industrial districts transformed into innovation ecosystems. Urban success is rarely static. It requires continuous adaptation. Tangerang has already demonstrated this capability. Its economy continues diversifying. Its infrastructure continues improving. Its role within the greater metropolitan region continues expanding. Its influence continues growing. This trajectory suggests that the city is still far from reaching its full potential. Imagine standing in Tangerang 50 years from now. What might you see? Perhaps autonomous transportation systems seamlessly connecting communities. Perhaps sustainable buildings generating their own energy. Perhaps advanced research centres attracting global talent. Perhaps thriving innovation districts producing technologies that impact millions of lives. Perhaps educational institutions recognised across Southeast Asia. Perhaps cultural centres celebrating both heritage and creativity. Perhaps a city that balances economic dynamism with environmental responsibility. These possibilities are not predictions, they are opportunities. And opportunities become reality when people choose to pursue them. Every generation receives a unique responsibility to inherit progress, to improve upon it, and to pass something even better to the next generation. Tangerang now stands at one of those important moments, a moment where decisions about urban planning, sustainability, innovation, education, and economic development will influence outcomes for decades. The choices made today will shape the lives of future residents. The roads built today will carry future generations. The schools strengthened today will educate future leaders. The environmental policies adopted today will influence future quality of life. The investments made today will determine future competitiveness. That is the extraordinary thing about cities. They are long-term projects. Every generation contributes a piece. No generation finishes the work. Each one simply moves the story forward. And Tangerang's story is moving forward at remarkable speed. But there is another lesson hidden within this city's rise, a lesson relevant not only to cities, but also to individuals. Never allow yourself to be defined by someone else's perception. For years, many people viewed Tangerang primarily through its relationship with Jakarta, as if its value depended entirely on proximity to the capital, as if its identity could never stand on its own, as if its future would always be secondary. Yet reality tells a different story. Tangerang developed its own strengths, its own industries, its own opportunities, its own culture, its own momentum, its own identity. That lesson applies far beyond geography. People often underestimate themselves. Communities often underestimate themselves. Organizations often underestimate themselves. Potential remains hidden until effort reveals it. Capability remains invisible until action demonstrates it. Tangerang's journey reminds us that growth begins when we stop accepting limitations imposed by others. The city could have remained a supporting character. Instead, it became a leading player. It could have settled for dependency. Instead, it pursued development. It could have been satisfied with existing opportunities. Instead, it created new ones. This mindset matters because progress always begins with belief. Before every achievement comes imagination. Before every innovation comes an idea. Before every transformation comes a decision to pursue something greater. Tangerang embodies that principle, and perhaps that is why its story resonates. People recognize themselves within it. The student striving for success, the entrepreneur building a business, the family pursuing stability, the dreamer seeking opportunity. The city mirrors those aspirations. Its growth reflects a universal truth. Progress is rarely immediate. progress is rarely easy. Progress often requires patience, persistence, and resilience. Yet over time, consistent effort produces extraordinary results. The skyline changes, the economy expands, communities strengthen, opportunities multiply, lives improve, transformation occurs. And often, people only realize how far they have come when they pause and look back. Tangerang is at such a moment where looking back reveals astonishing change, but looking forward reveals even greater possibility. The next 20 years may bring developments that seem unimaginable today. Technological breakthroughs, economic evolution, urban innovation, environmental solutions, educational advancements, new industries, new opportunities, new achievements. The pace of change is accelerating. Cities prepared for that change will thrive. Tangerang appears determined to be among them, and that determination may become its greatest competitive advantage. Not size, not geography, not infrastructure, determination. The willingness to keep improving, the willingness to keep investing, the willingness to keep evolving, the willingness to keep imagining bigger possibilities. History consistently rewards places that embrace those qualities. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected, competition among cities will intensify. Investment will flow toward opportunity. Talent will move toward possibility. Innovation will emerge where ecosystems support creativity. Cities that cultivate these strengths will lead the future. Tangerang has already taken significant steps in that direction. Its challenge now is sustaining momentum, maintaining vision, balancing growth with sustainability, preserving identity while embracing modernization, creating prosperity while ensuring inclusion. These are complex challenges, but complex challenges often produce extraordinary leaders, extraordinary solutions, and extraordinary outcomes. That is why the story of Tangerang remains unfinished, because the most important chapters may still lie ahead. The city stands not at the end of a journey, but at the beginning of a new one, a journey toward greater influence, greater innovation, greater sustainability, greater opportunity, greater impact. And perhaps one day, when future generations tell the story of modern Indonesia's transformation, Tangerang will occupy a prominent place within that narrative, not simply because of its airport, not simply because of its industries, not simply because of its population, but because it demonstrated what is possible when vision meets action, when opportunity meets preparation, when ambition meets resilience, when people refuse to accept limitations. That is the essence of Tangerang, a city that grew beyond expectations, a city that continues to evolve, a city that transformed proximity into opportunity, a city that turned potential into progress, and a city whose greatest achievements may still be waiting beyond the horizon, because the story of Tangerang is not ultimately about buildings, roads, or economic statistics. It is about possibility, and possibility is one of the most powerful forces in the world. As long as people continue believing in a better future, cities like Tangerang will continue rising. And as long as Tangerang continues rising, its story will continue inspiring everyone who dares to dream beyond the limits of the present.